flu game for Michael Jordan is high on his iconic list, although maybe with the lens of hindsight, it was actually the bad pizza game.
Michael Jordan was the most complete basketball player that's ever lived.
Might change the game in so many other ways, not only on the court.
You've probably seen this clip 100 times.
Michael Jordan sucking air, got the back massage from Scottie Pippen.
Michael Jordan, drenched in sweat, barely standing, leaning on Scottie Pippen like his legs just might give out right there on the court.
I was really tired. I was very weak. At halftime, I told.
People remember the image first, the exhaustion, the way he looked like he had nothing left.
Michael Jordan's physical conditions. He is suffering from flu-like symptoms.
What sometimes gets lost is the actual game. 38 points. In an NBA Finals game that could decide the series, and he looked like he could barely stand. Quick pause for a second before we go further. Those who are not subscribers, if you enjoy deep dives into moments like this, stick around and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's set the scene. Game 5, June 11th, 1997. Chicago Bulls against the Utah Jazz. Series tied 2 games each. Whoever wins this game walks away with control of the finals. One team goes up 3-2. One team gets pushed to the edge. Hours before tip-off, Michael Jordan is in a hotel room in Park City, Utah, feeling awful. Around 2 in the morning, he's curled up in bed, sweating, weak, and throwing up. The team's trainer later described him as completely drained.
Help him into the locker room. It may be a believer.
This wasn't a mild headache or a little stomach pain. He was seriously sick. The team staff checks on him later that morning. He's dehydrated. Standing up is difficult. Walking looks slow and heavy. Most players would not even consider stepping on the floor. Jordan decides he's still playing. Game time arrives. Utah opens strong. The arena is loud. The Jazz look sharp. And Chicago doesn't have its usual rhythm. Jordan moves slowly. Every step looks like effort. You can see him leaning during stoppages and bending over to catch his breath. If you dropped into the game with no context, you would probably think he was just having a rough night. Then the second quarter unfolds. Jordan scores 17 points in that quarter alone. 17 points in the finals while dealing with a stomach illness that had him vomiting hours earlier. What stands out when you watch the tape is how controlled everything is. No rushed possessions, no wild attempts. His footwork stays precise. The shot selection stays smart. His reads against Utah's defense stay sharp. The physical energy clearly isn't normal. The skill never disappears. That combination is what makes the game so strange to watch. Jump ahead to the fourth quarter, Utah leads 77-69. The Jazz crowd can feel the game leaning their way. Chicago needs offense. Jordan steps into the moment again. He scores 7 points during a 10-0 Bulls run that flips the scoreboard. Utah's defense starts tightening. Chicago keeps finding him. Less than a minute remains when Jordan hits a three-pointer that gives the Bulls the lead.
Yes! Michael Jordan from straight away!
That shot ends up deciding the game. Chicago wins 90-88. They now lead the series 3-2. Jordan played 44 minutes that night. 44 minutes while dealing with severe illness. His final stat line reads like a healthy superstar's performance. 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Those numbers look normal in a box score. For years, people referred to this game simply as the flu game.
Flu game for Michael Jordan is high on his iconic list, although maybe with the lens of hindsight, it was actually the bad pizza game.
The flu hit Michael before Game 5.
That name stuck immediately after the broadcast. Commentators and reporters described Jordan as having flu-like symptoms. The label followed the moment into NBA history. Later, Jordan and his trainer, Tim Grover, offered a different explanation. They believed the illness came from food poisoning.
The flu game, you are convinced it was food poisoning. Can you tell us what you saw?
100% it was food poisoning, 100%.
According to Grover, the Bulls were staying in Park City and most late-night food options were already closed. Jordan was hungry late in the evening, so they ordered a pizza from a nearby place. Grover remembers 5 delivery workers showing up with the pizza. He said the situation felt strange. Jordan still ate the pizza. He ate the entire thing himself. No one else in the room touched it. A few hours later, he became violently sick. That detail led to suspicion that the food might have been tampered with because the Bulls were playing in Utah during the finals. Fans have debated that possibility ever since. There's no confirmed evidence that anyone poisoned him on purpose. No investigation supported that claim. No restaurant worker admitted to anything. People connected to pizza shops in the area have publicly rejected the idea that the food was tampered with. One person who said he delivered the pizza explained that he personally prepared the order and made sure everything was clean. The most reasonable conclusion remains simple. Jordan suffered a serious stomach illness, likely food poisoning.
Flu hit Michael before Game 5. Maybe it was takeout food. The Bulls' Park City dwelling in Utah.
What caused the illness exactly cannot be proven beyond that. Regardless of the cause, the game itself remains one of the most memorable finals performances ever recorded. Another detail often overlooked is how physical the game itself was. This wasn't a high-scoring shootout. Chicago scored 90 points. Utah scored 88. Every possession was tight. Defenses crowded the paint. Every basket required effort. Jordan's 38 points carried enormous weight in a game where scoring was difficult for everyone on the floor. The opponent matters as well. Utah in 1997 was a powerhouse. Karl Malone had just won the league's Most Valuable Player award. John Stockton remained one of the smartest point guards the sport has ever seen. The Jazz ran disciplined offense, defended well, and played in one of the loudest arenas in basketball. Salt Lake City crowds made life uncomfortable for visiting teams. Jordan faced all that while sick. There's also a psychological piece here that matters. When a star is obviously compromised, the other team usually relaxes a little. Not fully because this is still Michael Jordan, but enough to think the burden will finally be lighter. That never really happened. Utah kept seeing the same thing all night. He looked exhausted. Then he'd hit a jumper. He'd bend over during a stoppage, then come back and make the right read. He'd look done, then attack again. That has to mess with your head as a defender. You prepare for the healthy version, then the sick version still beats you anyway. At some point, it stops feeling like basketball and starts feeling personal. And I think that's why this game became bigger than the stat line. If Jordan scores 38 in a normal playoff game, people respect it. If he scores 38 in a finals game while looking that sick, it turns into folklore. That word gets overused in sports, but this is one of the rare times it fits. The game has details that only make the whole thing feel stranger the more you revisit them. He was not moving well. He was not bouncing around. He was not carrying himself like the best athlete on the floor. And still, when the possessions tightened, Chicago trusted him with everything. That says a lot about him, and it says a lot about how much his teammates believed that even a broken down version of Jordan gave them their best chance. Scottie Pippen's role matters too. People remember him carrying Jordan off, and they should, because that image is unforgettable. But during the game, he also steadied the Bulls, handled extra responsibility, and gave Jordan enough support for the late push to matter. That wasn't one man winning alone in a vacuum. It was a superstar pushing through illness while his team understood the moment and held the structure together around him. That makes the ending even stronger, not weaker. And the timing inside Jordan's career is important. By 1997, he didn't need another story for his legacy. He already had championships, MVPs, scoring titles, all of it. This performance added something different. It added proof of endurance, proof that his edge wasn't just talent or athleticism or killer instinct in the cleanest conditions. It showed what happened when the conditions were bad and the margin was thin. Maybe that's why the game still lands. Not because everybody agrees on the pizza story, not because every detail is perfectly documented. It lasts because the central image is simple and impossible to forget. The best player in the world looked physically empty and still found a way to take the game where he wanted it to go. That is the part nobody can really explain away. And when people talk about heart in sports, this is usually the clip they mean, whether they say it directly or not. Visual moments from the game helped turn it into a permanent part of NBA memory. During timeouts, he leaned forward with his hands on his knees, trying to catch his breath. He moved slowly between plays. At times, he looked like he might collapse. Yet, he continued to score. The contrast between how he looked and how he played stayed burned into viewers' minds. The game's final moments created the most lasting image. After the buzzer, Scottie Pippen helped Jordan walk toward the bench. Jordan leaned heavily on him. The cameras caught every second of it. That moment symbolized the entire night. Exhaustion mixed with victory. Another layer of importance comes from the series itself. Game 5 shifted the momentum of the finals. Chicago returned home, leading 3-2. 2 nights later, the Bulls closed the series in Game 6 and secured another championship. If Utah had taken Game 5, the pressure and the direction of the finals could have changed dramatically. Phil Jackson later described Jordan's effort as one of the most courageous performances he had ever witnessed. Jordan himself admitted it was among the hardest games he ever played. Those words carry weight when they come from someone who built a career full of historic performances. Great games happen every season. High-scoring nights, clutch shots, and highlight moments fill NBA history. Few combine the same circumstances that surrounded this one. Finals pressure, severe illness, heavy minutes, direct influence on the series outcome. That mix explains why the game continues to appear in discussions about legendary performances. People still debate the illness story. They revisit the pizza story. They replay the highlights every year when the finals return. The lasting memory remains straightforward. A player who looked physically drained still controlled one of the biggest games of his career. Every time the footage plays, the same reaction shows up from viewers. How was he able to keep performing like that? That question keeps the game alive decades later. The diagnosis, the rumors, and the debates fade into the background. The performance remains. 38 points, 44 minutes, a finals win that pushed Chicago closer to another championship. That is why the flu game continues to hold its place in NBA history.